Join me today for another exciting episode of Spinning My Wheels. Welcome back to those of you who've been here before. Welcome to those of you who are new to the channel. Uh, Today we're going to be talking about a specific D&D monster that you as the DM can use for a higher end boss. I'm under the impression that this is a more rarely used creature based on forum posts and the fact that it only has like 4 or 5 miniatures, and I never hear anyone clamoring for more of them. So I think based on my perceptions, this is an underused monster. So your players probably won't be expecting it. And it has a few nasty tricks up its sleeve too. So today we're going to be talking about the Rakshasa. Now, for the basics, for those of you who don't know, the Rakshasa is essentially a tiger person. Humanoid form, but tiger fur and head. Also, their hands are backwards. So instead of like this, the palm faces out, and I believe the thumb is at the bottom. Unfortunately, I think I've seen miniatures where the thumb is at the bottom and at the top. So I don't know if they're literally just turned over or if they're like photocopied backwards like this. So, yeah, that's up to you. A lot of the artwork I see depicts the thumb at the bottom. Not really overly relevant because it doesn't prevent them from using weapons or anything. They're still quite capable of doing that. So, their background, and this part of this is why this is a re-recording. Because initially I only talked about their 4th edition background, and I had a chance to look into a couple of the other editions, and their background has definitely changed with each edition. The Monster Manual for 3rd edition doesn't shine a whole lot of light on their background. So if they're referenced elsewhere in 3rd edition with a more in-depth background, I didn't find it. Just that they are quite avaricious. Now in 4th edition, they are divas who become evil. And a diva in 4th edition was a creature from one of the celestial planes who is sent to the mortal plane. And I don't know a whole lot about them because they've got cooked up for 4th edition. A lot of 4th edition stuff was ignored by a lot of people, including me. But the impression I'm under is they're either former servants of gods who've like moved on or are dead, or they're just kind of there now. The god they created them might still be in existence, but they're like mortal servitors, except they're not actually mortal. Whenever they die, they're reincarnated after so long, with all their memories and everything intact. So, a Rakshasa in 4th edition was a diva who had become evil, and whenever they die the next time, they're reincarnated as a Rakshasa, and now they're locked into the Rakshasa form. Across all the editions across 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Rakshasas also reincarnate whenever they die. So, it can be anywhere from months to years before it happens. So, in 4th edition, they're locked in the reincarnation cycle of a Rakshasa. I don't think there's any way to reverse it from what 4th edition material said. So it's a permanent shift. Then in 5th edition, their origin appears to be that fiends from the lower planes tried to use magic to try to separate their essence from their form, because their form is created from the lower planes and it prevents them from moving to some of the other planes. And if they could separate their essence, they might be able to jump into another body. And instead, what they did was they created the Rakshasas, who are fiends, but they're locked in the reincarnation cycle on the material plane. So whenever they die, their soul goes back to the lower planes temporarily and just kind of chills there while their body's rebuilt, and then they go back into it. And also with all of their memories. So, and they're also very, very into revenge. So if you destroy one, like, it's going to come after you once it reincarnates. If you're dead, it's going to come after your family, your friends, whoever. They're not ones to take that kind of thing laying down. And like other fiends, if you kill them in the lower planes, they're dead permanently. So, as a DM, some things you need to know about them. They are definitely of the mastermind type. They like to amass wealth and power. Like I said, they are very avaricious. They want all the all these status symbols. They want all the piles of gold, the jewels, the slaves, the expensive palaces, clothes of like the finest silks and threads, with gold woven into it, and jewels and gems, and they just love to be surrounded by their wealth and power. Okay. They're typically depicted with more of an Eastern look on that. Uh, somewhere from, like, say uh, say the Middle East, uh, like ancient Persia and Baghdad is depicted in Aladdin, to roughly somewhere in India with the Maharajas and things like that. In fact, I think in one of the editions, one of the types of Rakshasas is a Maharaja Rakshasa. So you can tell there's definitely an Eastern influence to their appearance, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if it's based on an Eastern mythological creature. In fact, it probably is. So, they're very picky about everything. They only want the finest, and this, that, and the other. They typically appear as a mortal. I had thought that they weren't overly concerned about appearing in their true form, but apparently, from the lore I looked into, they do actually try to conceal their true form. So, which conveniently for them, they're shapeshifters. So, no problem there. So, as a DM, the fun tricks they have. Actually, before I get into this, if you like this kind of video, please hit the like and subscribe and share, and comments. Let me know if there's any other kind of creatures you want to hear about, like kind of their history, and also as the DM, how you can try to use them in your game. And this is going to go a little more in depth than some of my other videos. I'm actually going to go into, hey, they have ability X, which allows you to do thing Y. And so it's a little bit of a new approach. I know I've done hey, if I were to adapt these things, I would do it like this. This is going to be more of here's an existing D&D creature. Here's how I would use them. So if you want to see more of that, do all the algorithm things and let me know in the comments. Let us know in the comments uh, what else you want to see. So anyway, on to that. And this what I'm about to say is for fifth edition. Some of it is backwards compatible. They do have certain things that carry over between the editions, like the shape shifting, the detect thoughts, things like that. But this is going to be specific for fifth edition because abilities and whatnot do change. So, here we go. So the first fun thing is, like I mentioned, they're shapeshifters. They're immune to spells sixth level and below. And in case you don't know right off your top of your head what a sixth level spell is that would ruin the shapeshifting, that's true seeing. In other words, unless the caster thought to upcast true seeing, which there's no mechanical benefit to doing so, they're not going to be able to see through the magic disguise of the Rakshasa because it's immune to spells sixth level and below and their effects. So that's a fun one to spring on your players. Now they're going to feel cheated probably, but once you explain it to them, if you choose to explain it to them, you don't actually have to. Uh, yeah, that's one they won't be expecting, and they think they're going to have all the answers, and boom, no, you don't. Then beyond that, they also have advantage on saving throws against other spells. So they have plane shift, which they can use defensively to just take off, or they can use offensively if they can figure out who has the low, I believe it's charisma save, grab a hold of them, and then cast plane shift, and boom, one member of the party is now on another plane of existence. That is a rather nasty thing to try to do to a party, uh, because now the party is split for the foreseeable future because whoever they threw off into another plane probably has no immediate means of getting back. So, yeah, that's a fun one to throw at your players. The detect thoughts. So, as they are shapeshifted, they know what your players are trying to pull over on them if they're trying to pull one over on them, and they have a far better chance of trying to pull one over on your players. Um, so yeah, and also with the shape shifting at will, they can actually be several different NPCs that your players encounter if they really want to screw with them. And then, of course, they have some other offensive and defensive spells at their disposal. Plus the fact that, they're a humanoid tiger, so they can claw and bite at you too. Or presumably use a weapon. So yeah, they're mean. They're definitely a nasty monster. And then on top of all that, even if you do manage to kill them, or even if your players do manage to kill them, you as the DM can eventually bring them back to life and have them pursue the party again. And again, thanks to the shape shifting, the party's never going to know unless they get super paranoid and constantly cast true seeing higher than it's supposed to be cast, which is going to cost them uh, resources they may not have to expend on that, which, again, as the DM, depending on how you're approaching things, uh, you can use that as an in to have them be just wasting their time on that so that some other thing just comes out of the blue and hits them. So, you've got options here, is my point. Uh, but yeah, these are a higher level threat. Their CR is fairly high. This is not a throw this at your first level party kind of thing. They will be destroyed. Uh, but yeah, they're so overall, good mastermind potential, good recurring enemy potential, fun, varied abilities, an easy-ish way around the usual way to detect shapeshifters. You've got a lot going for you here. And again, I feel it's a monster that doesn't get a lot of airtime in discussions about the game. So they're not going to have the meta knowledge that unfortunately we all have. Like, if we're facing a red dragon, whether our characters know it or not, we know that it breathes fire, that it's probably immune to fire damage, or at the very least resistant to it. And and it's the kind of thing that it's very difficult to separate that in your players and their heads. And I don't expect them to. My players face a red dragon, I'm going to expect them to know that it probably breathes fire. Or if they don't, they're going to find out real quick. And once they know it breathes fire, they're going to know that fire probably won't work against it. Which internal logic makes sense. So I don't think it's a huge logical leap there. Well, with the Rakshasa, unless they've heard of them before, or unless they've, really plumbed the depths of the monster manual, like, they're not going to have any kind of basis for any kind of guesses on this thing. So, yeah, lots of fun to be had. So anyway, and I apologize, folks, if you made it this far. My voice might be cutting in and out. I had a bit of a thing here recently. It wasn't affecting my voice until just now, so I thought I was going to be able to record this just fine. Hopefully it'll come through okay on the edit, but we'll see. But anyway, if you liked this kind of video, let me know in the comments. Let us know in the comments. If you want to hear this about, some other creatures, I'm probably just going to be going through, and, ones that I find interesting are going to be where I'm going to start. But, from there, if there's anything in particular, you guys want to know about, I have access to a number of 3rd edition, some 4th edition, most of the 5th edition books. I do have some limited 2nd edition stuff floating around, but don't expect, probably don't expect me to pull that stuff out of nowhere. So it's going to mainly be these. Might be able to get a hold of like a Pathfinder book to let you know if it's different there in Pathfinder. But anyway, anything like this you want to know about, hit us up down there in the comments. If you found this interesting, entertaining, insightful, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you folks later.